Hello guys, welcome to the session of operating systems. This is module 4, virtual memory management, file system and file implementation. So for better management with the content, I'm going to divide this entire module 4 into two parts. So in that first part, we are going to discuss about virtual memory management. So this is Pradeep Kumar from Department of CSC, AJIT, Mangaluru. So in this first particular first part under virtual memory management, we are going to see the background, demand paging, copy on write, then page replacement, allocation of frames for different pages, and then thrashing. So these are the concepts we are going to cover under this virtual memory management. To begin with, so as we know, whenever we write any program using any programming language, it needs some storage, some memory space so that the program can be stored in the memory. So now during the execution process, the compiler or whatever the converter we have in the machine, if it is a Java, then Java virtual machine. So it will call that particular program using the engine so that it can run the program. So now during this runtime of a program, so whatever the code that has to be written as a program, that should be executed from the memory. And during that particular process, we may suppose to use different memory spaces like to store data, to store address, and to store the result, to store the content of a variable. So all these come into picture. So now to make ease of this particular execution, we need virtual memory. So in general, if you are saying a code needs to be in memory to execute, but entire program rarely used because error code, unusual routines, and large data structure may be used during the execution. So now during the execution itself, entire program code not needed at same time or at a single shot within a fraction within the given period, particular period, not that entire program code is executed. So it may execute line by line. So during that line by line execution or sequential execution, so it will access some of the memory area to get the data, and after some processing, it may load back to the memory some of the data, and at the end it may access some of the other memory locations to get the result from other parts, and so on. So this is the entire process, continuous process. So now during the execution, the part by part or instruction by instruction are executed. So on the other hand, we can say not that all the program codes, not that all the lines, not that all the memory references are needed at the same time. So what we are trying to say is, so we can execute the program line by line. So say one line at a time or one instruction at a time by making utilization of this virtual memory or other memory spaces. To do this particular task, supposed to have some capacity to deal with the virtual memory. So consider the situation, an ability to execute partially loaded program. So that is program no longer constrained by limits of physical memory. There is no limit at all. A situation, if some situation may arise, so during the runtime, the program is not at all sufficient, or program may generate large amount of data. So at that time, the physical memory which is available in the machine is not sufficient. Then what happens? We needed some additional memory space. So each program takes less memory while running, or more programs run at the same time. So now each program takes less memory because during the runtime, it's not needed to have all those memory locations, because we may divide that entire program into smaller chunks or smaller snippets so that each individual may run the parallelly on the other end. more programs can run at the same time. So via doing this one, we can increase CPU utilization. So better management with the CPU and throughput with no increase in the response time or turnaround time, because the smaller chunks, smaller modules are executed simultaneously via using different CPU cores. This particular thing we already discussed, how we can schedule different cores for a particular core, for a particular program, particular instruction. So less IO needed to load or swap programs into memory. So whenever we say less IO input output, on the other hand, each user program runs faster because there is no input output for each and every line. That's why on the other hand, we can say each user program runs faster. So now you understood the need of memory during the execution of the program, either to load from its own memory, either to access from the input device or from the different program and so on, or to write the result at the end. So now virtual memory is nothing but it is a separation of user logical memory from physical memory. So this is intermediate memory. Virtual memory is nothing but an intermediate memory. So that intermediate memory is nothing but separation of user logical memory from physical memory. So how that separation is been done? So that is only part of the program needs to be in memory for execution. So only some part of the program needed to be used by the memory for execution. That is, logical address space can therefore be much larger than physical address space. So it will allow address spaces to be shared by several processes. So whenever a very less or few IO request has been needed, there is only few data supposed to be entered from the keyboard. So then there is very less memory is enough to have the data, and to load the data only few instructions are sufficient. So there is next set of instruction we execute in the next interval, next time minute. So now to deal with this, to have a copy of intermediate data, we are going to use this virtual memory as it is a intermediate representation. So to represent this one, where exactly that particular data is loaded in the memory, that virtual memory, that is by knowing virtual address space. So that is nothing but logical view of how process is stored in the memory. So where exactly we are going to store that particular location. So that is addressed by virtual address space. It's nothing but it is a logical view. So usually starts at address 0 and it is a continuous address until end of space. Consider the situation. If we have a 1 MB of virtual memory, 1 MB is nothing but 1024 KB. So usually in 1 KB, 1 kilobyte, consider the situation, we divided that entire 1 MB into 1 KB each. So 1 KB, 1 kilobyte, right? So that starts from 0, address starts from 0 to 1023 if it is a continuous address. So now in this particular hierarchical order, continuous address space, the data has been loaded. So meanwhile, physical memory organized in page frames. So we have memory management unit which will map logical to physical. So its job is to map logical to physical address. So how to implement this virtual memory or virtual memory and the data in virtual memory? To track that particular data, we supposed to have a virtual address space. So we have two concepts, that is demand paging and demand segmentation. So using these two, we can implement virtual memory. So here you can see the diagram now. So now in this particular case, virtual memory is larger than physical memory. So please follow the diagram. So entire virtual memory, we are going to divide into equal parts. That is nothing but in the name of pages. Page 0, page 1, page 2. It is continuous. That is virtual memory. and we are going to map this particular virtual memory using memory management unit, so that where exactly that particular data is stored in the virtual memory, that should be mapped via this particular virtual map, and then it has been saved in physical memory. So that is what we learned in our previous over here. MMU must map logical to physical, so that it can easier to have a copy of that particular data, so that it will easier to store the result as well. So now once the memory map or MMU have the idea of where exactly the particular data is been stored in this particular virtual memory, that is paging. So that is mapped with this against the physical memory, and the physical memory keeps those data in a larger extent, that is physical memory. On the other hand, the virtual memory should have the capability of to store all the data that can be placed intermediately. Okay, so understood? So any clarification you may ask, you may revert. So now over here, this is something like this is a division of virtual memory, nothing but equal size. So equal size division can be made. So this equal size division will have its own address, continuous address, that is nothing but address space. So over here 0, 1, 2 up to V, the number of divisions, and each single division will have a data. So that data is mapped with this memory map and then physical memory. So how we'll get to know the address space? So we will use the concept, the stack. So usually design logical address space for stack to start at maximum logical address and grow down while heap grows up. So we'll start from max till 0, the reverse order, So will maximize the address space usage. That is maximizes address space use. How it maximizes? So here you can see a hole, a space, nothing but a space or nothing but a hole. Over here, based on the entries into the stack, so this stack may extend so that this hole may fill up. On the other side, heap also, though this also can extend so that this particular space can be merged or expanded. That is, either stack should be expanded or heap. So this is a free space, this entire space. So if you observe my cursor, so this is the entire free space like a hole. So whenever there is more data that is to be entered within this particular space, so automatically stack may extend its memory space towards down, or on the other side, this heap may continue to expand. So there is nothing but sparse. So unused address space between the two is whole over here. So that is no physical memory needed until heap or stack grows to a given new page. So this enables sparse address spaces with holes left for growth, dynamic linked libraries, etc. That is, whenever there is a need, so this particular space can be utilized for growth. On the other hand, to fill up with this particular stacks and heap. So we can directly allocate different libraries, linked libraries, or there is dynamic linked libraries or allocations. Dynamic allocations can also take place via this. So this entire part should be mapped into virtual address space. That is what we did over here in our previous diagram over here. So there is mapping supposed to take place in this. So virtual memory should be mapped with its physical equivalent. So pages can be shared during fork. So fork is nothing but when a new process has been created. So whenever there is a new process has been generated, automatically it will share the pages to speed up the process creation, to speed up the execution. On the other hand, we can say virtual memory, it allows sharing of files and memory by multiple processes. So how to share? For example, this particular space can be allocated to a particular process. So this particular process may be utilized by the another process's result. So during that particular period, however, we supposed to map this particular space using memory map, this one. So over here, according to that, we have a sparse, that is a hole. So it is used for dynamic linkages. So during execution, if any process need of space, that is why if any process can be generated using fork, then this particular space can be utilized. So whenever this particular space is utilized, the address space should be maintained by the virtual address space, nothing but map. Here you can see how it can be shared. The address space can be shared. So here in this particular diagram, you can see the actual structure of shared library using a virtual memory. So this particular shared library utilizes the whole in this particular scenario. So this particular scenario. So here I have a shared library. The particular shared library is utilized by the processors. So that is why I'm using shared page. So now what happens is during the execution, whenever a fork is called, automatically, if the particular fork is having this particular utilization, that is shared library or shared page, then using this particular concept, it has been shared. Moving to demand paging. So this is the basic idea behind virtual memory. So this is when a process is swapped into or swapped in, its pages are not swapped in all at once. That is, for example, over here you can see this program A. Please follow the diagram. So in that main memory, I have two programs. So two programs has been loaded over here in the main memory. So during the execution, based on IO need input output scenario request, whether some program may need users input or some program may take input from different memory location or different variable. Similarly for output also. So output of the program may be supposed to write in a separate variable or separate space or directly to the monitor or to the print. So during this particular period, during the execution of this particular program, it may need the different data that is available in this 4, 5, 6, 7. So that is swap out. When a program requests the data, that is entire process, an entry supposed to make into this particular space, swap out or swap into the program can be handled via using this demand paging. So it could bring entire process into memory at load time. The demand paging can bring entire process into memory. So this entire process can be placed in this memory or bring a page into memory only when it is needed. So when it is needed, when there is a IO request, or when there is no need of memory or less memory is needed, or when there is a need of faster response, faster execution, or when there is a need of more number of users. So during this 4 scenario, we can make use of this demand paging. Similar to paging system with swapping, that is swapping, that is either to copy over here or copying from this particular scenario to program. Nothing but we are supposed to reference it. We are supposed to give proper path referencing, proper path supposed to establish. So if there is no data available or invalid address, so then it is a need of abort. If there is no data available in this particular scenario, then it's supposed to bring into memory. If there is no space in the no data in the memory, not in memory, then bring to memory. So this scenario can be done using lazy swapper also. That is nothing but when a process is swapped in, when a process is swapped in from this to this, at that time, its pages are not swapped all at once. So what will happen? All pages not be swapped. So what will happen? Only few, that is only when the process needs them, at that time it will be loaded. That is when it is demand. That's why the name demand paging. Demand paging. Consider a scenario. You have written a program. You might have used 6 different variables. So all the 6 different variables may not be having the data at the same time. Or initially you may initialize some values for first 2 variables. Rest of the things you kept it as it is. So the rest of the variables other than 2. So rest of the variables you may utilize whenever you need. So that is what demand page, to understand in a simpler manner. So whenever there is a use, you may call it from the memory to utilize in the main memory. So now this particular scenario is called as lazy swapper. That is never swaps a page into memory unless page will be needed. So that is lazy swapper. The swapper that deals with pages is a pager. It's also called, swapper is also called as a pager when it deals with the pages. So whenever there is a swap, whenever a particular request has been made, only then it is been allocated. The swapping has been takes place. So that is lazy swapper. So now moving further. So what are the things we can achieve? With swapping, pager guesses which pages will be used before swapping out again. So this can be clearly represented in the program. During swapping itself, the swapper may recognize or guess which pages will be used before swapping out, because it is continuous. So instead of that, pager brings in only those pages into memory. Whenever there is a need, only that particular pages are copied to the memory. So how to determine that page, that set of pages? So how to determine which page is supposed to be swapped in or swapped out? For that we are supposed to refer MMU, because mapping has been takes place in that MMU. So over here in this diagram you can see this memory mapping. So this particular memory mapping will have a major role in this swapping. So need new MMU functionality to implement demand paging. That is, if pages needed are already memory resident, if already available in the memory, then no difference from non-demand paging, because it is already available, no demand at all. So whenever there is a demand, then only you're supposed to supply the food, right? So food is kept in the memory. Food is nothing but data. So whenever there is a need, then only we are going to supply the value to the variable. Whenever a variable asks the input from the user, then only the user inputs a value from the keyboard. That is how it works. So if page needed and not memory resident, then it's supposed to identify, trace out. That is, need to detect and load the page into memory from a storage. Supposed to trace out. On the other hand, search, may go with the sequential search from beginning of the directory track till the last track, last sector. That is, during this particular detection or tracing out, without changing program behavior. Program behavior won't change, and no need to change the code also, because it's job, it's MMU's job to search and trace out, right? So during this particular process, whether the particular data or value or the entry or page, whether it is valid or invalid, whether that particular page is available in the memory or not in the memory. So that is, if it is available in the memory, we'll call it as memory resident, otherwise not in memory, non-resident. That is, with each page table entry, a valid or invalid bit is associated. So over here you can observe valid or invalid bit. So V represents valid, I represents invalid. V represents the data which is available in the memory, that is memory resident, which is already available. I, that is invalid for time being, because it is not in the memory. So that is supposed to search in the storage, search in the disk. so that you can trace out where it is available. So that is initially invalid bit is set to I. So here you can see the number of frames. All those number of frames are available like this in the page table. On that against page table, we have we supposed to recognize whether it is valid bit or invalid bit. Valid bit are nothing but whether the particular page is not available in the memory, whether it is mapped to the main memory via page table. So that is valid V. Otherwise, it is invalid. So during MMU address translation, if valid or invalid bit in page table entry is I, that is page fault. So that is nothing but during whenever consider a situation for this valid and invalid bit, you have written a C program. You have installed a Turbo C compiler in C drive. Okay, so you already have some C programs in your machine, in your laptop. Some of the programs are already available in bin directory of Turbo C, which is already available in C drive. But 2 or 3 programs, some other programs you already kept in D drive. So now what happens is, just compare with this scenario with this valid and invalid bit. You're supposed to load a program. The program, whenever you are trying to load a program, you will press Control F or Alt F, press enter. The file will be loaded. You're supposed to trying to load the previous already available file. Click on load file. Automatically it will search in the bin directory which is available in C drive. So that is by default setup. If the particular file is available in that particular page, then it is V, saying memory resident, the particular file is available. But sometimes the file is available in other directory, say D drive. So then that particular file is not ready over, not available in this particular table. Then what to do? Supposed to search it and bring it to into this. So till then that particular file or frame is invalid, that page is invalid. Hope you understood the scenario. So that is whenever we need a particular data, it should be available in the main memory itself. If the particular main memory is not available, then we'll treat it as invalid, or that is not in memory resident or non-resident. So here is an example. You can relate directly exactly with the searching of a C program file. So here you can see logical memory. We have many data A to H, which is hierarchically stored from 0 to 7. We have a page table here. Frame 0, 1 to 7 frames we have. So 0th frame is available in 4th location, that is valid bit or null V. V represents it is available in the physical memory. So go to page table. Page table is supposed to maintain the address, that is virtual address. So 4 is the virtual address. Search in that 4. 4 should have the value A. So A is available. Then A is loaded over here. We should have a link. Next, 1, that is invalid, not available. Next valid bit is second frame, that is 6. 6, that is address. 6 is the logical address. So 6 is available here. What we have in 6, that is C. 6, that is address space related with the second frame. Second frame is having the value C. That is how it works. Next one, V, that is valid bit. That is 9, address space is 9. 9 is representing 5th frame. Represent 5th. 5 is nothing but F. F is available in 9. That is how physical memory mapping has been takes place via this page table. So now, so this particular page table entries are nothing but page in demand. So in demand we have 4, 6 and 9. 4, 6 and 9. So rest of the things are not in demand. So that is page demand paging. So now what you can observe is whatever the entry we have in this particular page table against V, those are the pages in demand, and rest of the part are not in main memory. Understood? Fine. Moving further, page fault. So if there is a reference to a page, first reference to that page will trap to operating system. that is page fault. Nothing but invalid reference also, or during the request if the particular page is not available, those comes under this page fault. Whenever there is a reference to a page, first reference to that particular page will trap to operating system. So when there is a reference, the particular reference is not directing to the exact location, then it is a page fault. So how it addresses? That is, operating system looks at another table to decide to search in other directory. Again, if it is not available, then it will read to invalid reference and the action will be aborted. Otherwise, just not in memory, supposed to search in other location. Find free frame. So once it is available, swap page into frame via schedule disk operation. Supposed to reset the tables, indicating that page now in memory. Then is supposed to update the validation bit. So we'll see with an example over here. Consider a situation now. So right now, the first one, address, first, that is corresponds to B, that is not available in this page table. So that's why we have written I, right? So I represents invalid bit. So now when there is a request by the program to load this particular scenario, so what happens? It will search in this page table. So in this page table, it is not there, the entry is not available. Then automatically it will move to the outside. That means it's supposed to search in the main this particular memory storage. If it is available, it should be supposed to load back to this one, and then is supposed to update I with V. That is what it means. So whenever we search in this particular scenario, in this particular storage, if it is not available, then we supposed to abort it, saying that invalid reference. Otherwise, just not in the memory. If it is not available in this memory, you supposed to load it from here. So that is what we are trying to say. Swap page into frame via schedule disk operation. Reset table to indicate page now in memory. Set validation bit to 0. Once we have that particular entry in the page table, then we are supposed to reset the validation bit to V. Then again is supposed to restart the instruction, because whenever a page fault has been occurred, from that particular position supposed to restart the instruction execution. Okay, that is page fault. So how to deal with this particular page fault? The same similar example here with an explanation as a diagram. Consider a situation. You're supposed to load it into memory. The first operation is reference. You're supposed to give the proper reference, nothing but address in the page table. You're supposed to have reference to which address. If it is a I means invalid table. You're supposed to trace out, that is trap to, using operating system. So operating system's job is to trace out where exactly that particular data is available. That is to search by the operating system. Saying that third operation, page is on backing store, that is in a storage. From that storage, supposed to have a request. Bring in missing page. Supposed to call back that, come, I have a seat for you. Then physical memory is loaded with that particular data from here to here, free frame. That particular data has been occupied. From there, update the page table, that is reset page table. Then restart the instruction. That is again wherever we stopped, wherever we aborted because of invalid bit, we supposed to start from the same position. Okay, the scenario first is supposed to give a reference, that is for an invalid bit. If it is an invalid bit I, then you're supposed to trap it. Nothing but you're supposed to trace out or search with the help of operating system. Operating system will identify where exactly it is located. That is page is on backing storage. From there is supposed to bring it into the physical memory using missing page, that is frame. From there is supposed to update the page table and then update entries I to V. Then restart the instruction again. This is how handling in a page fault takes place. Any clarification? Any doubt? So what are the different aspects of demand paging? That is, we can make use of this demand paging in case of extreme case. That is, start process with no pages in memory. There is an extreme scenario. We can have a valid page reference. That is, the program starts execution with 0 pages in memory. OS sets instruction pointer to first instruction of the process. If the first instruction of process is non-memory resident, then there is a page fault. Again, it's supposed to start from trapping or tracing out. So now, and for every other process pages on first axis, if it is available, then it is pure demand paging. If everything is readily available in this page table entry, in this particular page table entry, then it is pure demand paging. On the other hand, we can say actually a given instruction could access multiple pages. It may result in multiple page fault if that is the actual invalid bit is available in that scenario, then we are resulting in multiple page fault. So consider fetch and decode of instruction which adds two numbers from memory and stores result back to the memory to trace out. So it will be decreased because of locality of reference. The reference should be updated with this scenario. And along with that, supposed to have proper hardware support for demand paging also, because each time page table entry should be updated whether the particular page table is an valid or invalid bit. This particular valid bit and null bit should be updated accordingly. And then we're supposed to manage with swap space to the storage or from the storage. That is why I use the help of secondary memory. Swap device should be needed. And then we may start with the instruction restart again whenever we recover from that page fault. So how to instruction restart will happen. So consider an instruction that could access several different locations. So whenever the particular page is available in different locations, a movement of that transfer from the storage towards the physical memory, that is swapping, supposed to takes place. That is block move. Entire block supposed to move to the physical memory. So over here in this diagram, if you observe, from this entire storage, so this particular entire block supposed to move to the physical memory over here. So that is what we are representing in this particular diagram. And whenever we obtain that one, we can have auto increment or decrement, because one entire block supposed to move. We already moved to the physical. Then compare with the, then supposed to update in this particular page table as V, then we supposed to restart. Once it is available, we may decide whether the restart is required for the whole operation or from the current execution, current instruction. Wherever it is the execution is paused or halted for a time being, whether it is enough to start from the exact that particular position or is supposed to start from the beginning, that is to be decided. So now during that particular process, that is over copying from the storage to the physical memory, there is a chance of this one overlapping, source and destination overlapping. If there is no space, no enough space in the physical memory, there is a chance of overlapping also. So now during this demand paging, that is whenever there is a need, the page should be moved from storage to the physical memory. So that is demand paging. So in worst case, the performance is measured based on the demand paging, nothing but request. So it will have these many steps: trap to the operating system, save the user registers and process state is the first process. Whenever there is an invalid bit in the page table, trap to the operating system, supposed to request operating system to search for a proper page. Now during that particular trapping, on the other side, is supposed to have which register and which process, which instruction, which directory needed those data. That is why save the user registers and process state. Like we say pause button. Consider a situation, you are watching a movie on TV. So during that particular period, your mom or friend may called for to have a coffee or to have a food. So what to do if it is a movie is very interesting? We'll give a pause to the movie play. same thing should happen over here also. Entire thing should be paused in between. That's why supposed to save the user registers and process state. Third, determine that the interrupt was a page fault, supposed to trace out. So this is the job of OS, whether that particular interrupt, the request has been made by the page fault or no, supposed to clarify. On the other hand, check that page reference was legal verification and determine the location of the page on the disk, supposed to trace out, search in the disk or storage. So during that particular operation, issue a read signal from the disk to a free memory. Identifying that. So in this case, supposed to perform that one, the read or request trace out where exactly it is located. From there, if this particular page is available in the storage, supposed to have a read operation, and read is supposed to announce that operating system job is to announce that the operating system performs read operation from the storage to the physical memory. So that is what is depicted here. Issue a read from the disk to a free frame. That is, wait in a queue for this device until the read request is serviced. Then wait for the device, seek and with the latency delay supposed to calculate. So once it is ready, once the frame is ready, supposed to transfer the page to a free frame. That is what we did in this scenario from here to here. If it is free, then only you can copy from here to here. That is what we did here in these three steps. These three steps are to copy. So now during this particular process, allocate the CPU to some other user. So some other user may need the CPU. Then you can allocate, because some other job has been taken place in the backend, so that you can allocate the CPU for any other core executions. So when that is over, can request and receive an interrupt from the disk IO subsystem. Can have a interrupt from disk IO subsystem. That is when the IO completed. Again, save the registers and process state for the other users, because simultaneously you can execute some other process in the backend on the other side. So that's why supposed to register and process state for the other user. Determine that the interrupt was from the disk, because nobody else can give pause signal, only by the authorized person, only by the authorized remote. That should be accessed, that should be verified. Then correct the page table, update the page table and other tables to show page is now in memory. So over here, once you get this particular frame, then you're supposed to update this particular page table, this one. That is what we are doing here in this scenario. Correct the page table, supposed to update into the new settings saying valid bit, because valid bit represents page is now in memory. Then again supposed to restart. So how to restart? Supposed to the CPU supposed to allocate the process again. The restart nothing but supposed to allocate the process once again. So if it happens, then restore the user register, restore the process state and new page table. Then resume the interrupted instruction. Wherever you stop in the previous case, continue from that particular position. So this is the different stages during demand paging. These are the steps that should be taken place in the backend when there is a demand page. So any clarification on this particular point? Any clarification on demand paging you can raise? Any clarification or any doubt? If there is no clarification, we may proceed. We may proceed the calculation of. So in page demanding, so these are the things you're supposed to clearly understood. Follow this particular diagram, steps in handling a page fault and a page demanding both. So this can be related with the both. So what is page demand? What is page fault? And how we can update with this V and I, valid bit and invalid bit. Then these are the steps. So that is stages. So based on this particular stages, we can calculate performance. So while calculating performance, supposed to remember these are the things will happen in the backend. So there is during demand paging. So demand paging may occur when the particular page is not available in the virtual memory, the memory. So only at that particular period demand paging may happen. Demand a page is happen. So in that particular process, these are the different stages need to be handled in the backend. So now based on that, how we can measure the performance? So performance of demand paging. In this case, performance during this particular performance, when we say there are some chances, there may be some of the to identify some of the pages, there may be needed some more exercises. That is a slow down or faster method may need. So that is there is some slowdown and performance hit whenever there is a page fault occurs. There is a required page is not available in the memory, nothing but page fault. So automatically the execution may slows down, the performance may also hit. So the system has to go to collect it from the memory, from the storage. So the steps we already seen, around 15 to 16 steps, supposed to around 12 plus this 3, around total 15 steps supposed to undertake to trace out this demand page. Consider a scenario, a normal memory access. Consider a scenario over here. In this case, how to calculate effective access time? So service the interrupt. 3 major activities will be performed if there is a demand. So first one is careful coding, means that just several hundred instructions needed. So that is read the page many times, lot of time, and supposed to trace out and bring back, then restart the process. So in these 3 stages, there are number of steps that is to be followed. On the other hand, number of instructions, we can say. Instruction in the sense supposed to give pause for the regular instructions, then supposed to trace, start with the trap, supposed to stress out the page in the memory, then calling back, tracing out the free frame, then loading into there, from there supposed to update, again restarting the process. That is, there may be chances of there is no page fault, p equal to 0. That is, if there is no page fault at all are valid, then valid bits, then there is no page fault. There may be page fault, saying that every reference is a fault. Nothing is available, everything is supposed to search in. So in this case, EAT, that is effective access time, is calculated using this. That is 1 minus P, P in the sense total number of page fault, into memory access, total number of memory hit, plus page number of pages, that is page fault to overhead, plus swap page out and swap page in. There is number of times to search in the storage, page fault to overhead, plus swap page out and page in. So this is a formula to calculate effective access time. We'll see the example. Consider a scenario. A normal memory access requires 200 nanosecond, and in such case, to service a particular page fault, to service a particular any single page fault, consider a scenario, average page fault service is around 8 milliseconds. Now EAT, effective access time, is nothing but 1 minus P into what is that? Memory access. So memory access, that is 200 milliseconds, 200 plus P, and then average page fault, that is 8 milliseconds. So solve this. So while solving, we'll get at the end over this one, 200 plus P into 7,999,800. So now what we're trying to say is, if one access out of 1000 causes a page fault, then EAT equal to 8.2 microseconds. So that is effective access time. That means it is a slowdown by a factor of 40 times. So in order to keep the slowdown less than 10%, in order to keep this particular slowdown is less than, that is via performance degradation less than 10%, what to do? There must be less than this particular value, 0.000025 page fault rate. The page fault rate must be less than this particular scenario. Or on the other hand, we can say around 4 lakh memory access. One page fault in every 4 lakh memory accesses. Then only we can say the performance may be average. This is how demand paging effective access time is calculated. So how to proceed with this? There is demand paging optimization. How to cope up with this? So that is swap space IO faster than file system IO, even if on the same device. So swapping is faster than file system, rectifying from the file system IO. So input output request, say for example input from the storage, nothing but swapping the space, which is faster than file system. So opening a file, locating, then copying, closing. Instead of this 4 level, so this is single level. So that is faster because swap allocated in larger chunks, less management needed than file system. Then copy entire process image to swap space at process load time. That means you're supposed to copy the entire process image into the swap space during the request itself, because it will share the same page in and page out of swap space, like in our older versions of BSD, Berkeley systems, right, where more than one processes can be executed simultaneously, as in a Unix, BSD Unix. So demand paging from program binary on disk, but discard rather than paging out when freeing frame. So this is nothing but with respect to other OS operating systems, demand page request, that is requesting for a particular page from the disk, instead of that can directly go with the file system. So we still need to write to swap space. So pages not associated with a particular file, that is like for example stack or queues or heap, then we may go with anonymous memory. That is pages modified in memory but not yet written back. It's already read and utilized but not updated. Sometimes mobile systems. So mobile systems don't support swapping easily. So if there is a need, demand page from file system and then reclaim read-only pages such as code. So we can give an example with respect to mobile systems. Consider your Android mobile phone. You wanted to dial one of your friend. He is not a frequent contact. He is not in touch with every day. So if you click on the dial button in your mobile phone, you can see the frequent contact list. So whoever contacted in the previous case, all those lists will be appear. There is frequent contact list. If a particular friend's name is not available in that frequent contact list, then you're supposed to search in contact file. So now compare that particular scenario with this demand paging. So if your friend's contact number is available in the frequent contact list, then it is nothing but a V. What is that? You have entry in page table valid bit. If it is not available, you are supposed to search in contact, that is I. So relate that particular scenario. So it won't support swapping. Swapping won't happen. You're supposed to go to the contact file. From there, you're supposed to press dial button on your mobile. That is read only. Hope you understood the example. Okay. So that particular scenario, operating systems won't support this demand paging. So we have a methodology that is copy on write. So copy on write, COW, allows both parent and child processes to initially share the same pages in memory. So this is one of the methodology to optimize the scenario. That is, a parent process is shared by the child process. Whenever there is a using a fork, consider the situation, using fork we created a new process, new child process. So that is inherited all the properties by the parent, right? So in that case, one or the other processes changes the page, automatically it's also been updated, child process also been updated. So only when process changes any page content, that page is copied for the child. So now both parent and child process initially share the same pages in memory. If either process modifies shared page, only then is the page is copied. Otherwise, no need to copy, because they are sharing the same page. If and only if any one of the processes, either parent or child, if any one of them has been updated with the page, then only need to share. Otherwise, the same thing might have been continued. That is copy on write. So it allows more efficient process creation as only modified pages are copied. Because if there is no change, no need to copy, no need to update, no need to share once again. So in general, free pages are allocated from a pool of 0 fill on demand pages. If there is no change, no need to worry. Right. So in general, we can say the free pages are allocated from a pool of non-zero fill on demand pages. As we saw in our previous diagram, whenever there is a demand, then only it is received from this storage. Otherwise, no need. So now what we are trying to say is, whenever there is a free space, over in physical memory, then only we can have a block of page from the storage to over here physical memory. Whenever there is a request, whenever there is a chance. So free pages are allocated from a pool of 0 fill on demand pages. So pool should always have free frames for fast demand execution demand page, because when there is an empty, we can place it in anywhere. So in between, if there is only 1 or 2 frames are available, we need to search where exactly it will fit, right? So don't want to have a free frame as well as other processing on page fault. So now we have two mechanisms, V4, that is variation on fork only. System call has parent suspend and child using copy on write address space of parent. So using this, if you are making use of V fork instead of fork, then V fork have an option in such a way that parent may be suspended or aborted, child continues with the same shared image, shared page. That is continuation. If it is a normal fork, both parent and child shares the same page and continues with the execution. But if you are making use of V fork, the variation in a fork, nothing but this particular system call V fork system call as a parent suspend. On the other hand, we can make use of this particular scenario when we call exec, that is to execute child process. So this is very efficient. So one of the scenario. Here you can see an example. So here we have two processes, process 1 and process 2. So here it is a page table, physical memory, that is frame. So process 1, before process 1 modifies page C, before modifies this one, the process 2 may allocate this. That is as a fast for process creation. So here how it can be traced out, because we are going to use it V fork, because parent has been suspended, child uses parent's memory, right? Whenever a child has been created using V fork, automatically the parent process has been suspended. Then child continues with the same copy on write address space of parent. So that is what represented over here using that physical memory. So then what will happen after process 1 modifies page C, we'll have a same copy of page again. So this is the difference. Consider a scenario here. Process 1 keeps on executing page A, process 1 and process 2. Two processes share the same page. Process 1 and process 2 share the same page. Process 1 and process 2 share the same page C. But during this particular scenario, process 2 it utilized using V4. So that's why the copy of page C have been kept ready enough memory again, so that this will be disconnected. Hope you understood the scenario. So what will happen if there is no frame at all? So if there is no frame to copy, so it will used up by the process pages. So then there is a huge demand may arise from the kernel, IO buffers, etc. So it is decided on such a way that how much to allocate for each of the processes. So during that particular period, we may go with page replacement, nothing but find some page in memory, but not really in use, that is page out. So which algorithm supposed to make use for this page replacement? Algorithm either is terminated or swap out or replacing, or based on what criteria, performance criteria, want an algorithm which will result in minimum number of page fault. Supposed to select on based on that. Same page may be brought into memory several times also. So these are the possibilities when there is no free memory. So one of the possibilities, page replacement itself. Coming to the page replacement, some of the page in memory that is not being used frequently, or we can say some of the page in memory is not being used at that particular moment. So if it is not used, we may try to swap it. Swap that page only that is to the disk. To the disk we are supposed to save it, so that we are going to free the memory, freeing up a frame that can be allocated to the process requesting it. So if that particular page is not at all using, you can copy, you can divert that into the main disk storage, so that you can free up the frame. So freed up frame, or whatever the frame is freely available, that can be allocated to the process requesting it. So that is nothing but page replacement. So prevent over allocation of memory by modifying page fault service routine to include page replacement. Use modify bit or dirty bit to reduce overhead of page transfers. So you can make use of this particular scenario. When there is a modify bit or dirty bit, so that can reduce overhead of page transfers. So page replacement completes separation between logical memory and physical memory via large virtual memory can be provided on a smaller physical memory, that is via the update. So here you can see the page replacement, need for a page replacement. So in this case, so to perform a page replacement, so consider the scenario over here. As we know, whenever the page is not at all usable or used, instead of keeping it in the frame, we can replace it with the storage. So that is what the page replacement is. So initially we are supposed to trace out which particular page is not at all used. So now right now we understood that the F, so this is a victim now, it is not being used. So F, it is a valid bit. However, it is having its entry in this table, I mean in memory, virtual memory or physical memory. So this should be kept in the disk, and some other needed page supposed to swap it. So that's what we are trying to do here. First, number one, swap out victim page. So this is a victim page that is to be swapped out from this. And in this particular place, we supposed to have a copy of this one, desired page. That is swap desired page in. So now what happens is, whenever we encounter this one, that is swap out victim page, next we supposed to update that particular page with invalid page because we are removing it. That's why we supposed to change it to invalid bit. Over here is supposed to update. Instead of v over here is supposed to update with I. Then is supposed to perform this swap. Then again is supposed to reset it. So once we reset, again it will become v. That is what happens when page replacement takes place. So we have different algorithms, page and frame replacement algorithms we have. There is frame allocation algorithms, nothing but how many frames to give each process and which are the frames to replace. So those two comes under frame allocation algorithms. Then we have page replacement algorithm, that is lowest page fault rate on both first axis and re-axis. So these are the two criteria, page and frame replacement algorithms. Frame allocation is nothing but allocating in this particular frame. Page replacement nothing but we are replacing from here to here and here to here. That is page replacement. So evaluate algorithm by running it on a particular string of memory references, that is reference string, and computing the number of page faults. So the page faults are nothing but supposed to trace out under this page table. String is just page numbers, not full addresses. Repeated access to the same page does not cause a page fault because it is regularly utilizing the space frame. So then there is a no page fault. So results depend on number of frames available. So here is an example. So this is stated as reference string 701203042 and so on. So we'll see how we can represent it. So we'll come back to this particular part later. So reference string. So we may go with FIFO. Any clarification on this one? On any other concepts over here? Page replacement, page demand, all those things. We'll take a short break. We'll come back again in 1 minute. We'll take a small break.